Folks, Spelman College is receiving its largest single donation ever. In fact, it's the largest of any HBCU ever, a $100 million donation from one of its board members. Joining us now is the president of Spelman College, Dr. Helene Gayle. Doc, glad to have you on the show. You've been beaming ear to ear since announcing this huge donation. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's pretty incredible. $100 million. That's a lot of money, and it's going to make a huge difference for Spelman College and for young women who are bright and qualified but don't have the financial resources to attend Spelman. So, I'm just thrilled by this gift. It brought me to tears.
Now, for folks who don't know, the gift came from Rhonda Stryker and her husband, William Johnson, who's the chairman of Greenleaf Trust. She's been a member of the Board of Trustees for Spelman for a number of years.
She has. She's one of our longest serving trustees. She is an incredibly generous donor. She's contributed a huge amount already to Spelman, but this is the largest single gift that she's contributed. And as you said, it's the largest single gift of any HBCU. So this is historic.
Didn't the two of them give $30 million about 5 years ago?
Yeah, they contributed $30 million for a new building, our building for the Center for Innovation in the Arts. It will be named after my predecessor, Mary Schmidt-Campbell. But they've also given other dollars to help to make Spelman more global and allow our students to be able to travel around the world, they've contributed to other scholarship programs. So they have been incredible over so many years, but this is a game changer. It's historic.
How did this come about? Did she just call you up and say, hey, I'm about to do something? Or were there conversations the two of you had over a period of time? How did this transpire?
Well, there's been conversations that she's had with me, my predecessors, the chair of our board, our former board chair. And I think it's something that she's been thinking about for a while because, she really has committed so much to Spelman. She believes in our mission. She believes that, Spelman is an institution that changes and transforms people's lives. And so I think this is something she's been thinking about for a while.
How are you going to use the money? How is it going to be partitioned?
So most of it will go to scholarships. And, I think, that's a big passion for her. I think it's clearly been a passion for me since I've come on to Spelman. I see so many talented young women who, lives are changed as a result of getting this education. But many of them leave strapped with debt. And there are so many more who have the talent but don't have the access and the opportunity. So being able to endow scholarships, and this is not to give out today, tomorrow. This is to endow for our endowment so that far into the future, we will be able to support young women, outstanding, bright, brilliant young women who will benefit from a Spelman education. We will also be able to give scholarships to young women who are there today, but this is really about securing the future.
Questions from our panel. John Quill, you're first.
Yes, this is such an exciting time, an exciting day. I mean, I myself am a graduate of Clark Atlanta University, so I went to school right next door, and I also took classes at Spelman while I was at Clark Atlanta. So for those that don't know, the Atlanta University Center, which comprises Spelman Morehouse, Clark Atlanta, Morris Brown, the ITC, a lot of buildings we share. We share the library, the Woodruff Art Center. We take classes on each other's campuses. There's land that is shared also amongst the universities. And so with this being such a historic gift, and I know it's very early on, is there any way that that it will benefit the entire AUC, or maybe some of those shared buildings and things like that that we all share with one another?
Well, the way I think it will benefit not only the AUC, but HBCUs in general is that I think this is a landmark gift. And I think it says that it is worth investing in HBCUs. We have been so underinvested for so long. And as you know, going to Clark, we punch well above our weight, but we don't have the resources that many of our peer, predominantly white institutions have. So, while these resources are really primarily for scholarships for Spelman, I think that it lifts the sights and the vision and the inspiration for all HBCUs. So I'm hoping that this is a sign that says to other donors that HBCUs are worth investing in, and worth investing in a big way.
Mm-hmm. Greg.
Thank you, Roland, and thank you and congratulations, President Gayle. Great news for HBCUs in the last week or so. We all saw the $100 million that the Lilly Endowment gave to UNCF for this pooled endowment for smaller schools. I have a couple of questions. We all have a lot of these good young sisters who get into Spelman, very competitive, and then can't afford it. How might this gift transform your capacity to offer scholarships for students? Because, and I know sometimes, I know you've heard it, Spelman gets a bad rap, say, yeah, you can get in, but they don't give a whole lot of money out. Now, I don't think that's true, but that's one question. And the other question, I think, which is pursuant to that as well, a lot of folks, and I've been teaching at Howard the last 23 years, so I know we come up against this as well. A lot of folks might not understand how the 3/4 you're going to put toward the endowment for endowing scholarship works. People might think you're going to give that money out. Do you mind explaining how an endowed scholarship pool works differently than just giving out $75 million worth of scholarships over X number of years? Thank you, first of all.
Yeah, thank you for those questions. So first of all, I think, it is partly true. We don't have the resources that we would like to be able to give out to our students. And so, we do have many students who get into Spelman and then can't continue because they just don't have the resources. They got in and they were hoping that they could figure it out and it could work. But after taking out loans and after their parents taking out loans, it's just not feasible. And so, this hopefully will be one of the ways in which we'll be able to help with that. Our student population, 40% are Pell eligible, so come from the lowest economic status. We give out about 80%. 80% of our students are on some sort of need-based loan. So we have a high need population, but we also have a population of young women who are academically gifted and talented. And so, that's where we want to be able to fill that gap, where there is that talent and that capability and potential. We want to be able to match that with the financial resources. So on endowments, endowments are just like putting money into a money market, savings account, or anything else that any of us do, where we try not to cut into the principal. We want to make sure that that keeps earning interest. And so from that interest that comes from investing our endowment, that's what we will then spend for scholarships. And that's what keeps us able to then continue to give scholarships on and on and on, because we keep that principal to keep working for us and then spend the interest that comes from our investments.
Yes. Lauren?
President Gayle, how are you? I wonder when you have these big donations, are there any stipulations on this type of donation? Do they in any way try to control how you spend the money, or do you get to pretty much do what you like?
Well, it depends on the donor and how much of a relationship they have with the institution, how much they see this as a partnership. In the case of Rhonda Stryker, she's been a board member for a long time. I think she trusts that Spelman will do well with the resources. But she did say the general categories that she and her husband wanted the resources to be spent on. So, most of it going into endowments for scholarships, some of it also going to help to upgrade our housing, some of it to do innovations in our academic programs, and then to have some discretion for immediate needs. So, she gave us some broad outlines, but also understood that this is about a partnership, and she had faith in Spelman and that Spelman would use these resources wisely.
First of all, what's the student population at Spelman?
About 25, just under 2,500.
And normally, what is your incoming class?
Where or how many?
No, the size of your incoming freshman class.
It fluctuates between 600 to almost 800 in some of the years that it's been very high.
So if you look at the annual tuition, it's about $29,000. So that means if you have 600 students coming in, let's say if Spelman decides to say, okay, we're going to grant a $5,000 scholarship to each incoming student, that means that you're going to be spending about $3 million annually. And so when you talk about these scholarships, just sort of how are you thinking about that? You're thinking in terms of incoming, or you're saying, hey, let's look at distributing scholarships to folks who are freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. When I did a scholarship with McDonald's a couple of years ago, I told them I only wanted the scholarships for juniors and seniors. I said, because a lot of programs are set up for people who are high school seniors. I said, but the problem is a lot of students who go to HBCUs, they may spend their first and second year there, but when they get to that third year, many of them simply can't afford to go. So how are you thinking about, breaking that up to assist students?
So, this is a new gift, and we're still thinking through all of the ways in which we will use the resources, the interest, what comes from the investment, how we will use that over time. There weren't specific stipulations that said that it had to go to one class or another. And I think what we want to really do is do it in a thoughtful way that makes sure that we're giving resources to students at greatest need, and that we can help to fill that gap so that students who come to Spelman don't leave with a huge debt burden, or that they can't, students who really can be competitive at Spelman aren't able to do it because of finances. So we're still thinking through some of those details, but I think we want to do it in a way that really helps to bridge that gap between the incredible talent and potential and the financial needs that exist.
All right then, President Gayle, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right, thanks a lot.